Hey there, and happy 2024. It's a new year, I'm in a vest, all's right with the world. If you are new to our game table, this is Board Game Barrister. We're a local game shop in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My name's Andy, I'm here with Elizabeth, Glenn, Ian, and Gordon, and today we're talking Chicken, a delightful little dice game from Keymaster Games. Let's get into it. Welcome to Chicken, a quick, simple, family-friendly, push-your-luck dice rolling game. Our first player is going to start us off with these light, kind of eggshell-colored dice, and they're going to roll all 4 of those. Now, every player has to make at least 1 roll on their turn, but they're allowed to make a second roll if they want to, which we'll talk about in just a second here. For now, let's start with that first roll. Alright, now this is an interesting roll, because there's a little bit of everything in here, so we get to talk about what all these different dice faces do. First one we're going to talk about is the chickens, because chickens are great. Chickens are worth points, so I want chickens, and I'm going to set my chickens aside after my roll. I'm also going to set my foxes aside, but not because I want to, it's because I have to. If I end up with 3 foxes, I bust, and I don't get any points for the round, even if I had chickens set aside. After I've set my chickens and foxes aside, I'm going to look at my eggs, and for each egg that I rolled, I'm going to add 1 new die into this pool of dice. We're going to start with the yellow dice until we run out of those, and then we'll start adding orange dice in, so let's get a new yellow die into this dice pool. And now comes the part of my turn where I can make a second roll if I'd like to, which would mean re-rolling all the dice that are not my set-aside chickens and foxes. What are the chances of me getting 2 more foxes on this roll? Hey, let's go for it. Hey, that's great. That's 2 more chickens and no more eggs rolled, which means I'm not adding more dice to the dice pool to hand on to the next player, so they won't have any more dice than this yellow die I already added. So I'm going to move 3 spots forward on the scoring track for my 3 chickens. My fox no longer matters because I'm going to take all of my dice and hand them on to the next player. That'll be their pool for their turn. Now we're definitely eventually going to get to the point where the dice pool starts to look a little bit more like this. A bunch of yellow dice, some orange dice added in. The orange dice are a little bit wild. There's actually a side that has a double chicken face on it, and there are also 2 different sides with foxes, which is twice the normal amount, so they're a little bit higher risk, higher reward. And when I make my roll with those, we're gonna see all sorts of stuff happen here, and you can see immediately that rolling these big dice pools can be pretty risky. I've got 3 foxes already, which means I bust out of the round without even having a chance for a second roll. But there is one thing I can do to avoid busting just because the player ahead of me handed me an enormous pool of dice to roll, and that is that at the very beginning of my turn, I can remove all of the dice that aren't the initial eggshell white dice from the dice pool and just roll the white. Doing this is called chickening out, and it actually costs you a point, so you lose 1 point for doing it, but it might be worth it if it means that you get to not bust and try to make something out of your turn. That's all there is to it. Everybody gets 1 roll, and then the second roll, if they'd like it, you try not to bust, you get as many chickens as you can, and we race our way to be the first player to be at 25 points.
So I love dice rolling games for obvious reasons. I pretty much win every time. It's the luck of the Irish, I suppose. But I really think it's just taking the risk that other people are too adverse to. But anyways, in this one,
It's not that we try.
that's gotta be it. It's gotta be strategy, right? So this one only lets you do 1 re-roll per shake of the dice, which I really like, because a lot of games you can just keep re-rolling, and then sometimes it just takes forever to get through everybody's turns, but this one plays so efficiently because you only get that 1 extra re-roll, so it's either go for broke or don't. All right, incoming. 8-banger right here for the win.
Yeah, I like that you have to go for it to feel like you've done well.
What is this? Why are they all blank, dude?
What? Dude, you got 5 chickens.
5 chickens.
Do I go for the win?
You're 5 right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
We go for the win. We go for the win. For the views. For the views.
Why wouldn't
you out there, YouTube?
Why wouldn't gonna work.
You out there, YouTube?
This was a 5.
It was. Not that
I'm 1 off.
So what I really like about the 1 reroll is it gives you all of that fun and that tension of taking the extra reroll, and you get, you know, like that first bite of chocolate cake. That's the best. That first reroll is the best.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it, you know, can still be good, but just take that out and get the game moving along. And so now everybody gets to play more quickly, and that's so awesome.
Well, and when you take the risk for the reroll on this one, it adds more tension because you increase the number of dice the next person has to do. So now they've got this, you know, terrible decision at the beginning of their turn. Do I shake everything and just maybe lose right away? Or do I, you know, go for the strategic move of removing all the dice but losing points? Which I think they did a super good job with, and it feels nice to be able to pass that giant pile right over to the next person. Yeah.
Well, and that's one thing that is a major complaint for me about Push Your Luck games is that you're just doing the same thing over and over. In a lot of those, I sometimes get bored just doing the same play over and over, but this has such a delta in variability. Like you said, the feeling, the experience of taking my turn changes so much that, you know, it becomes interesting.
Now you have dice.
This is the
There you go.
ideal amount of dice
It
to,
is,
to
yeah.
roll,
Pretty
let's be
good.
honest.
Perfectly
Yeah.
nice, as all things should
Alright,
be.
found a cup for good luck.
Chicken cup is where all the luck is.
Hey, that's real good.
It's really
I actually get points.
Chickens.
Alright.
Fox
Yeah,
won
yeah,
five.
yeah.
It's impossible. It is impossible to happen.
It's impossible.
Wow, look at that.
Hey, 6 points.
Sir.
I like the fact that you can feel like you're way far behind and make up a lot of ground on a single roll if you
Yeah.
get that good lucky roll. Because I mean, for a while, Ian was like in second to last place,
yeah.
and then he had like an 8-banger where
Yeah.
he jumped way ahead. Elizabeth was way back, and she ended up tied for third.
I agree with you. I think that, I mean, and that for somebody like, let's say you are like me, who always is going to take the risk, you're rewarded almost always, even if you're behind in the beginning, because when you keep taking those risks over and over again, sometimes it's going to work. Like, it's going to work at some point.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get a sweet 12-banger, and then you're like, ha, proved it all along.
Well, and they also did a really cool job making it so that this is the entire profile of the game, so it's really easy to just toss in a little bag or something like that. It's basically giving you a very simple dice game and the dice cup you'd normally play it with. So it's leaning into, like, if you're somebody who already likes playing bar dice or any other Yahtzee stuff like that, you're just going to throw a bunch of dice in a cup, throw it in your bag, and then be able to break this out, and it'll feel super natural to anyone you're teaching to just say, throw dice in cup, roll dice, try to get lucky. So it's super cool. All right, that does it for chicken. So quick, so easy, we had a blast with it. Thank you so much for joining us this week. As always, hit that like button, leave a comment if you got a comment, subscribe if you want to hang out with us every single week when we post our new videos, and check out our online store. Chicken's in there, a bunch of other cool stuff's in there too. Thank you so much for this time, and we will see you next week.